Just a real quick reason. I think I told you why we have the museum. Okay, and I've been asked to be the executive secretary for the a chapter of the International Council on Museums, which I'm really entertaining doing. So they've asked me if I would be their executive secretary, and that's like being almost like being the president, some stuff like that. But that's also responsibility, and I don't know if I want to take on any more responsibility. But anyway, but this museum is recognized by the International Council on Museums, and it is probably the only museum like it in Ghana that speaks to the history of us as Africans who were born in America. And that's really very important. It's important that we write our own history so that we're able to tell what it is that we actually went through versus what someone thinks that we went through. Okay, it's the difference between identified as a bunch of niggers as opposed to being identified as a bunch of royal Africans. And that's who it is that we are, okay? So the museum is broken down in such a way so that it makes sense. It talks about accomplishments, okay? It identifies some of those individuals who impacted upon our lives. In this instance here, we pay tribute to the arts, whether it's dance, whether it's music. We have Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone. Then literature, we then go to people like James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Paul Robeson. So these are people, James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. Nina Simone, who said, Mississippi goddamn. Everybody knows what's happening, ain't nobody saying nothing. Sister was ostracized for that and had to leave the country. Then you look at James Baldwin. Because of his socialist, okay, or as they want to call him, communist views, he had to leave the country. We know Robeson, along with people like Marcus Garvey, who were ostracized for their beliefs. Here we have the first black woman to win an Academy Award. And does anybody know what she won that Academy Award for?
Playing the maid.
Playing the maid in Gone with the Wind. From what I understand, that she couldn't even go on stage and get her award. Her award was given to her, Butterfly McQueen, backstage. Okay. So just to take a look at, these are some of the people. Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald is the greatest, one of the greatest gospel singers in the world. But Ella Fitzgerald and my cousin Ruthie were on the same stage at the Apollo Theater. And Ruthie won the first prize, which was to travel with Chick Webb and his band around the United States. But I come from an old-fashioned family. My auntie said, what? Travel with some man that we don't know? Oh, no, no, no. You ain't going with no Chick Webb. Because she didn't even know that Ruthie was on the stage at the Apollo. So my uncle and aunt decided that Ruthie could not go, even though Chick Webb came and spoke to them. They're like, who are you? Everybody know Chick Webb except my aunt and uncle. So they wouldn't allow her to go. And Ella Fitzgerald was the second place. So Ella got to go. So my cousin ultimately became a registered nurse. And I know every time she heard Ella sing, she was like, "Chuck my hair." But no, Ella Fitzgerald. And then as we go across the top, taking a look at some of our greats, and this wall I call great African thinkers, people like Marcus Garvey. And Marcus Garvey is one of the reasons that we're here, because we're Garveyites. And Marcus Garvey told us, along with Delaney, that Africa was for Africans, those at home and those abroad. He said that Africa was ours, and we had the right to claim it. So we did. So we have Marcus Garvey, we have W.E.B. Du Bois, and as much as we talk about W.E.B. Du Bois had a hate for this man. For Marcus Garvey, he hated him. And you know, Marcus Garvey definitely did not pass the brown bag test, okay? But in of itself, he was one of our greats. He thought America was all of that in a bag of chips until they accused him of being a communist, took away his passport. But Nkrumah said to Du Bois that you didn't have anything to worry about. You could come here to Africa and we would give you some place to live. We would give you land because you are ours. So he came, and Du Bois ultimately died here, okay? Then we have people like Ben-Ami. Ben-Ami is one of the great spiritual leaders who was able to bring out over 3,000 African Americans, and there's one of them.
Yes, yes.
She has lived in Israel for over 40 years.
Yes.
Some of her children don't even speak English. They only speak Hebrew, okay? The people that Ben Ami brought out of Israel, out of America, were people from all walks of life. Whether you were a thief or whatever you were, if you wanted to come, he believed in you. He took them into Africa to begin what we call deniggerizing, just getting rid of all that niggerism, until they went to Israel. They now live in the Negev desert. The headquarters is in Dimona. So if anybody ever has a chance, you should visit there. They make their own clothes. They grow their own food. Everybody must exercise every day. I never thought I'd find myself running 5 miles into the Negev desert and running behind some 74-year-old lady up the side of a mountain. But I did, okay. Didn't I do it? I got over there and stayed 3.5 months. Child, my husband was like, don't call me no more telling me you coming home. When you get to the airport, you call me. Took me 3.5 months. So we have others. There's John Henry Clark, Professor John Henry Clark, Scobie. We have Dr. Ben Yohanan, Frederick Douglass. And if you haven't had an opportunity, find this article written by Frederick Douglass, who said, what to the American slave is your 4th of what I call July, the 4th of July. And I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. So time will not allow me to read all of this, but when you get a chance, read it. And right to this day describes America. Martin Luther King, we have Carter G. Woodson. And very interesting, one day I was doing a tour and I heard this man say, that's my picture. That's my picture. I thought to myself, oh, damn, mama, you did it this time. I said, excuse me, sir, but I didn't take this, steal this. It was the back of a program, and I laminated it and put it in a frame. I'll laminate you if you could fit into this museum. And he said, no, 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 no. I am the photographer that took this picture. That Chancellor Williams was his mentor. And I was like, really?
Great book he wrote.
And most certainly.
Absolutely.
So the man said, what I'm going to do when I get back to America, I'm going to send you some great pictures. And he did. He sent me pictures of Queen Mother Moore, Chancellor Williams, and others. Okay? So this is our wall of great African thinkers. There's some other people here. And here's Queen Mother Moore. And I stuck up there with the boys. You know,
Queen Mother Moore?
Queen Mother Moore was our elder from New York City. One who presented to the United Nations our petition for reparations. Yes. Queen Mother Moore and 2 of her other sisters in Chicago stood up with guns drawn and told the police that Marcus Garvey is going to speak here tonight. Okay? And he spoke. All right? Very strong sister. And when I asked her, when we were in America, my husband and I had a limousine service. I'm a New York City cab driver. And we drove her around and we asked her, said, Queen Mother, how come you're not in Africa? You know, you talk about Africa. She said, well, baby, somebody got to stay here and ginger up the troops. Now, you know, if everybody leave y'all, ain't nobody going to get you, you know, got to keep your adrenaline flowing. So somebody got to be here. So she would go in and out. But she was there. And when you went into her house, she was surrounded by greats. Malcolm and all the great brothers and sisters, okay? So Queen Mother Moore deserves to be on both sides. She's with the brothers and with the sisters. Remember, Marcus Garvey said to us, one of the biggest problems that we have as African people is that we serve the wrong God.
Indeed.
The God of the Indian looks like the Indian.
Come on.
The God of the Chinaman looks like the Chinaman. The God of the white man looks like the white man. And the God of the African looks like a white man.
Yep.
We're serving the wrong God. Okay. And he put that out in 1921, standing on a soapbox on 125th Street. Okay. Great African thinkers. You'll see as we go along certain signages. Here, arrest Bush. He should be arrested. He's a war